Okay, go to the side. Yeah. Or come around on my side here. You see they're kind of moving around there. But that's traditionally what you do to. Now you see how they're like in a circle there,
Mm-hmm.
the bees coming in and going out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it looks when sometimes at least once a day when they have high traffic, there are a whole bunch of bees just kind of flying around like that at each hive. Now, a lot of people, generally speaking, anytime you go to hive, you suit up with your hood and your gloves. But there's a lot of beekeepers that do not use protective equipment.
You used to pass on the protective equipment.
Okay, back up a little bit. Say it again now.
I said you used to pass on the protective
Yeah.
equipment.
Okay. Now you see, you got bees in the top,
Mm-hmm.
and you got some bees. This is called the inner cover, and that's keeps the weather out. Usually you just smoke everything. Just call it lightly smoking. And lets the bees know that you're coming in. Usually let it sit for a minute or two. And what happens is they seal all these different levels. Now this is just sealing from yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And again, these are frames that I looked at yesterday, and there wasn't a bunch of honey on them. So I kind of put them back. Now this, see, this is what I'm saying, where it's kind of empty. There's no honey there.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that this is you don't have too many bees here because I've got a bunch of frames that are empty.
Okay.
Okay. And down the bottom here, or what we call this is called comb, where they put honey in there, but also they will make queen cells in there for the next queen. So again, I know that this particular hive, I've taken the frames out of here and removed the honey. So all of these, even though they're still kind of sticky because they've actually kind of pulled them together, the bees did. Sure, I shouldn't put it in here because I'll move the. But again, these are all empty frames, and I had determined yesterday that they were empty.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, I did not take off that comb that was in the bottom of some of those frames. See here. Back up just a little bit.
Once again, the smoker disorientates the bees and lets them know that you're about to come into the hive.
Back. I'm moving this frame back. I got water here that these guys will drown. So I'm just going through these frames one more time to make sure I don't have a whole. I'm not expecting to have any honey on these frames because I've already went through them yesterday and determined that there were no honey on these. So I'm going to take this frame out, and then under this one I have about three frames that have some honey in them. and I'm going to leave those alone, and then I'm going to go in the other frame below, the other honey frame below that, and get those out. So I was just re-inspecting these again from yesterday, and I'll put these back on there. Now, generally speaking, the nectar flow is really from starts in April and it kind of ends in July.
Okay.
And so there won't be much honey being made until yeah. Just don't make big moves. Okay, now come on back. Now again, you see these are 2 frames. You see all these were filled with frames. And so those frames that we have in the brown thing, they came out of here.
Okay.
So this is from yesterday. Come a little closer here. Can you see these? Or come back around my side here.
That's a lot.
Go all the way around. Just take it slow. Okay, walk. Okay. Okay, come all the way around. And you just take a peek in here. Come on a little bit closer. You're okay. I know you. But again,
Okay.
I took 8 frames out of here, and I put them in the brown bag because they were full of honey. And these were the frames that were not full. So now I'm going to look at these frames one more time, and then I'm going to take this. This is called a queen excluder, and I'm going to have some honey, and I may have some brood in the other 2. So I'm going to check those out. Now you can go back around again. And again, I'm going to examine these 2 frames, take this out, move the queen excluder. The queen excluder is supposed to be between the brood chamber and the honey chamber, but this is a honey chamber that may have some honey in there, and it may have some brood from the queen laying eggs.
Okay.
So this is a healthy frame, and I'm going to just leave that for them to eat off of during the winter. And this is another partial frame that has all honey in here. There's more honey on this side than on it. You can actually see. You see this? Oops. You can see the capped honey there, right there. And I'll leave that for them to deal with over the winter.
Is that enough for a hive that large?
No, so I would need more frames of honey. But what I can do is when I harvest, I'm going to have some empty frames. You know, after I clean the frames and put them in the centrifuge, I'm going to still have some honey left. And I can put those in those frames, and that will kind of handle it. Okay, now this is a frame that I'm concerned about to see how much honey I have in there and how much brood in terms of the queen laying eggs. This is called a queen excluder. The queen is bigger than the other worker bees, and so the queen can't come through there.
Okay.
So that's why it's called that's why it's called a queen excluder. And you keep that, you have a queen excluder to make sure that you separate the brood, the eggs that the queen lays from the honey. And this is just to kind of tell them that I'm coming in, and I'm expecting, and you kind of see where they start moving and leaving the area. Now, I would hope that all I have is honey in this chamber here. This is the honey chamber, and you see this is bigger, and that's the brood chamber.
Okay.
So, but since I had my queen excluder up here, I may have some eggs in here mixed with the honey. So I'm going to check and see. And we might actually be able to see the queen if she's up this high, but I'm hoping that she's way down at the bottom. And these are what we call queen cells, where they actually are making new queens, and there only can be one queen in a hive at a time. And what happens is if there are two queens, then the queens will battle each other, and only one will survive.
A battle to the death.
Right, battle to the death is exactly what happens. So now we're going to look and see. Smoke it one more time. We're going to look and see how much honey we have in here, and I'm hoping it's full of honey and no brood, no eggs. And, honey's going to be, yellow, and the brood's going to be brown.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that these frames look to be a little bit darker than the other, and that could be because of age and brood. I'm pulling this up now. And there's there is some honey in there, but this is actually more pollen than honey. So there's pollen in there, and there's pollen here. That's yellow, but there's no honey there. So if that's gonna be on all of the frames, I will just take them all out, put the queen excluder back down there, put a queen excluder here, and hopefully in the future, okay, here's these are eggs laid by a queen.
Okay. So it's a lot of brood came up into the honey chamber.
Right. But I should have had that queen excluder down there lower.
At the bottom.
So I'm thinking what we're going to have here is not much honey and a lot of
brood.
Bees getting brood, right. But I definitely still want to see all this brown stuff. Those are really eggs laid by a queen. And if you look at this closely, which I don't see right now, you should be able to find a bigger bee than these worker bees, which would be the queen.